Welcome to Sunday Springboard with Melanie and Kimberlyn Coaching, where we help strong women flourish after major life transitions. We're continuing on our series of talking about energy blocks, things that hold us down and keep us from living the lives we want to live. The first week we talked about outer blocks, which are our circumstances, situations around us, outside of us, that cause us to have problems and not be able to live like we want. And with those, sometimes you can change those outer blocks, and sometimes you have to change your attitude about them. Last week we talked about limiting beliefs. These are thoughts and beliefs that you just kind of picked up somewhere, may not even know where, but beliefs that you've never really tested them to see if they're true or not. And again, they're beliefs that hold you back. If you have just started watching the videos, you can actually catch up. You can look at them on my Facebook business page, or you can go to my website, kimberlyncoaching.com, and look at the Springboard tab, and all of my previous videos are there, and you can watch them there. So today we're going on with the second inner block, and this one is called interpretations. But before we do that, I'm going to tell you a story about something that happened to me in one of my previous lives. Not in a weird way, just in one of my past. So at that time, I had some ladies come cleaning my house, and before they would come clean, I always spend a ton of time getting my house ready for them, straightening things up and getting ready for them to be able to clean to the max. And I'm sure some of you can relate to that. Well, on this time, we were leaving for Thanksgiving, going out of town, and they were going to be cleaning while we were gone on Thanksgiving. And so I did my little deal, got everything all ready, packed everything, went on our trip. Came home Sunday, expecting to come home to a nice, clean house. Got home Sunday night, opened the door, and nothing had been done. All of my work had been for nothing, and now my house is not clean, and I am unhappy. So the supervisor had given me 2 different numbers, and so I called both of them, left messages. Thankfully, they weren't mean. They were just, a little annoyed. My house is not clean. I'm just kind of wondering why. But at least they were nice, because the next day he called me and told me what had happened. And what had happened was that he had gone on vacation. He had left everything in the care of this another lady, another woman, and she had died over the weekend. Yes. Horrible. So the cleaners couldn't get to their stuff, couldn't get to their cleaning supplies. Oh my word. I was so glad that I had not left him a mean message. So the truth about it was that his lady, the colleague, had died, and he's having to deal with all these mean things that everybody says. So this story illustrates the inner block called interpretation. So interpretation happens when you don't have enough information about a situation, and so you just create a story in your brain. And once you have that story created, then you consciously or unconsciously start looking for evidence to support what it is that you're believing. And it's like a quick story that you have made up. It comes from your past experiences, what you believe. And once you start looking for this evidence to support it, you just keep on believing it, and you just keep going down the road with it when it may not even be true at all. So your interpretation only represents one viewpoint, and there might be many other ways, many other things that are actually true and not the one that you have decided is true. So those people who had called and chewed out the supervisor, they made an interpretation. They decided that the reason their house had not been cleaned was because the supervisor or the cleaners or something, they were lazy, they were irresponsible, or something bad. They made a judgment call, and it made them angry, and then they took that anger out on him. And so, the truth was that he had a colleague pass away, and he's having to deal with all this. And I am so glad that I'm not saying I don't ever do interpretations, but I'm so glad that I did not do it at that time, and that I had spoken nicely to him. So when you tell yourself this story, more often than not, consciously or unconsciously, you continue to develop the story by overthinking it. You just keep on looking for more evidence to support it, and you keep on adding fuel to the fire. And if you stick to your interpretation, you're not going to have the ability to be able to even see it any other way or come up with any other possible explanation for this. And thinking this way, this makes you feel like you're out of control, and you don't have any idea what's going to happen, and it makes your energy level or your outlook on life be really low. Here are some examples. So let's say you're dating someone and you text them and they don't answer you back as quickly as normal. So you decide, they don't like me anymore. I should have known. You know, they would have called, but they would have texted me if they liked me now. And so you get into this mindset, you tell yourself this story, and you do a couple different things. Maybe you just, I'm just not going to text anymore. Doesn't like me. If he wants to like me, he can text me. Or you maybe start texting him over and over and over because you're wanting some reassurance. Or you just maybe lose confidence and you just think, he's just been leading me on. And all of this is because you decided that him not answering your text had something to do with you. And it might not have had anything to do with you at all. Maybe he just got in a fight with his boss, or he had to take a friend to the emergency room. Things could happen. He left his cell phone when he walked out the door. These things happen. And once you've developed your interpretation and your story, then they take you down a road of anger and sadness and frustration when they may not even be true at all. So here's another one. So maybe you're walking down the hallway and there's a group of people and they're talking, and as you walk past them, they kind of start talking quieter, and maybe they even give you a kind of a little weird look, and you think, oh, they're talking about me, they're gossiping about me, I knew they didn't like me, yada yada. And really maybe the reason they did that was maybe they were telling a dirty joke and they knew you wouldn't appreciate it, or something like that, something that really doesn't have anything to do with you, but it has to do with them. Does anyone ever push your buttons? Well, nobody can push a button that is not there. Ouch, that's kind of an ouchie, huh? So think about a recent situation where somebody pushed your buttons. What was the interpretation that you had of the situation that let that be such a negative situation for you, where you said that, pushed my button? So here's a formula to help you deal with this in the future. So if this happens, stop, breathe, and then ask yourself, how emotionally reactive am I in this situation? Then you say, well, what might my button be? And what I mean by the button is, what interpretation am I giving to this event that is making me react this way? Then you can ask, what is really going on here? This person may have reacted in a way that had totally nothing to do with you. And then number 6, ask, if the situation happens again, how can I handle it better next time? Okay, so now here's a couple ideas that can help you keep from getting an interpretation. So first of all, quit taking it personally. We generally make everything be about us. And most of the time, people's behavior is not about us. So when something happens, do not automatically think it has to do with you. If you have to go through some scenarios, give some scenarios that maybe make it not about you. Maybe give them the benefit of the doubt. The second thing is, suspend judgment until you have enough information. When something happens and you don't have enough information, you can make yourself crazy for no good reason. So here's another example. So you're meeting a person for supper. Y'all are supposed to meet at 6, and 6 gets here and they're not there. And 6:05 and 6:10, 6:15. I mean, you're waiting. They don't show up. They don't call. They don't text. You try to call them. You try to text them. They don't show up. So you can take this several ways. One of the ways, you're like, I knew I should never try to go out with this person. I don't think they really like me. They don't respect my time. Here I have been waiting all this time. They're just so rude, not letting me know what's going on. That just turning this into just something really angry and bad because that they didn't show up, so they don't like you and they don't care about you, and you shouldn't have done this anyway. Or you can go the other way. You can go the scared way. Oh no, they're on the side of the road. They're in a wreck. They're dying. I'm getting ready to have to plan a funeral. Right? Both ways you made yourself crazy for something that probably is not true. All of the things that you thought of are possible, but most of them are not probable. Okay, so in order to help yourself not get these interpretations, one is Give the benefit of the doubt. Don't automatically assume it's about you. And number 2, suspend judgment until you get enough information. Decide you're not going to get angry. You're not going to get upset until you find out what the situation was. Okay, so here's some more questions you can ask. These are if you've like already got an interpretation and you're trying to maybe talk yourself out of it or let it go so that you can have some different ideas. So when it happens, then ask yourself, what am I taking this to mean about me? Like when that person didn't show up late, I'm taking it to mean they don't like me. What is this about me? And so what is the interpretation that is causing me to react this way? So number 2, what is another person's reaction? What would another person's interpretation be if they were looking at it? Number 3, what would your friend or another person's perspective on this situation be? 5, what would someone who had the complete opposite point of view from yours say about this? And then, I don't know if that was 4 or 5, but anyway, 5 is maybe get a reality check. Sometimes I call my co-sponsor, we sponsor each other, and I say, I need a reality check here. Here's the situation. This is how I'm looking at it, and I'm getting myself all upset. What do you think? And sometimes the other person can help talk you through it, and they can give you the ideas, and she gives me her perspective, and I can decide if, okay, yeah, what I was thinking was a good way of thinking, or no, I was overreacting. I was overthinking. I was making myself crazy for no good reason. So, originally, I asked y'all to make a list of things you hadn't achieved yet. If you did that, pull that out. If you did not, you can go ahead and make one later. A list of things that you have not achieved yet. And what I want you to do is look at this list and look at each item and figure out how many of these items are on this list because of an interpretation. Something that you made up a story that made it where you were not able to achieve these goals that you had. So ask yourself the questions that I just told you about. Like I said, you may have to watch this over to get those questions. Record your responses and your experiences in your journal, and make sure to include how your performance and your life would be better without the old interpretation. What if you had a new interpretation? What difference would it make on your life? So if you feel like you need some help doing this, consider hiring me as your coach. If that's something you're open to learning to, you can go to my website, KimberlinCoaching.com, fill out the form at the bottom of the Work With Me page, and I will contact you, and we will have a conversation about where to go. Meanwhile, look around you. How are you thinking? How are you believing? Are you feeling positive? Are you feeling negative? Are you challenging your thoughts? To decide if they're true or not? Are you making choices? Are you becoming aware and making choices so that you're responding out of choice? Now remember, I'm still working on our challenge. It is going to start the day after Labor Day. I will give you more information in the next week or 2, but I'm really excited about it. We're going to go on a virtual trip around the world, and then we're going to learn some concepts each night, a concept so that we can make our own roadmap as we travel this trip of life. So I'll keep y'all posted on it. I'm excited. I'm still working on it, and that's going to come in September. So meanwhile, thanks for listening, and y'all have a great week. Bye-bye.